Hello, friends. Aqua Kitty here with a little story about how I saw the ghost of Thomas Alva Edison. As some of you know, I'm a tarot card reader and I am clairsentient. Clairsentience is when you are able to feel specific vibes from the other side or the spirit world. Some people are clairvoyant, meaning they see people in the spirit world. Some are clairaudient, meaning they hear the spirit world. Some people are all of the above. Being clairsentient, I feel the spirit world. I compare the feeling to like when you can feel somebody staring at you, even though your back is to them. You can feel someone's eyes on you when energy is fixated in your direction. Everyone actually has varying degrees of this ability. It's part of our instincts. As I mentioned, I usually do tarot videos, but I got the inspiration for doing this video from my friend Robin from Para That's Not Normal. Go check out her awesome channel. This was a unique experience that I wanted to share with my audience. I hope to produce more magical and mystical stuff in the future, so stay tuned. Thomas Edison was an American inventor and businessman who was born in 1847. He's credited with many revolutionary inventions, including the light bulb, the telegraph, the phonograph, and the motion picture camera. It is disputed, however, that most of his so-called inventions were actually stolen from other people's ideas and inventions, while Edison boasted the credit. He was interested in the paranormal. He talked about experimenting with technology and the afterlife. He spoke about building a ghost machine or a spirit phone, an apparatus that would supposedly be used to speak to spirits. However, no evidence of any prototype for such a mechanism was ever found. Many researchers believe that this was just another way, one of his ways of cashing in, because at the time, the 1920s, spiritualism was in vogue. There was a huge spiritualist movement, and the public was fascinated by the idea of mediums, seances, ghosts, and contacting those who have passed over. Edison himself was agnostic, stating that he really didn't know if there was an afterlife or not. He was a businessman and he knew how to market himself. I live in Michigan, and as a child, we would often visit Henry Ford Museum in Greenfield Village near Detroit, where Edison's Menlo Park, New Jersey laboratory was reconstructed. Edison's nickname was the Wizard of Menlo Park. I remember walking through there many times, marveling at the history, this vast workspace, fascinated by the old instruments and tools. The one item that haunted me, however, was a test tube on display at the Henry Ford Museum, which is stated to contain Thomas Edison's last breath. As a child, especially, I thought this was really weird, creepy, and gross. From the little bit of research I've done on Edison, by most accounts, he wasn't really the great inventor that history paints him as. While he may very well have come up with some cool ideas, the vast majority of his inventions were stolen from other people. He would steal ideas left and right, take the credit, and then attempt to discredit and even sue the pants off of the people he stole it from. If he didn't get the results that he wanted, he would go through extensive smear campaigns. He would literally hire dudes to threaten these people, to rough them up, or worse. There was a public execution of an elephant, as well as torturous experiments on other animals. Some say Edison staged such experiments as a way to disprove Tesla's alternating current. Others say Edison wasn't involved at all, but from what I found out, all of the equipment was personally supplied by Edison. He was very likely the brains behind such horror. All in all, I'm left with the conclusion that he wasn't a very stand-up guy, to put it mildly. From what I've read, he sounds like more of an opportunist. All right, let's get to the ghost story. I was in my early 20s, newly married, asleep in my bed next to my husband in the middle of the night. At this point in my life, I was interested in a lot of metaphysical, paranormal, and occult studies, and I had also studied astrology for many years, but I had never seen a ghost. In fact, I was very wary of ever seeing one. I would often talk to nothingness inside my home, shouting at any potential ghosts or spirits that they were not welcome here. This was before I knew about sage and salt. I knew I was highly sensitive, but seeing ghosts was something that I simply did not have the emotional capacity for at that time. I found it extremely unnerving. So I was asleep in my bed. I woke up out of nowhere. You know how sometimes you wake up just to change positions or something. It was like that, but something compelled me to sit up in the bed. Our master bedroom had a bathroom connected to it, so I could sit up in my bed and look into the bathroom. That's what I did. I was petrified. In the bathroom, somewhere between the toilet and the vanity, was an old man. He had short white hair, no facial hair, pale complexion, bluish eyes, and he was wearing an early 1900s style black suit with a white shirt and a worn black top hat. He was sort of in this casual crouching position, or sort of sitting and leaning on I don't know what. It was like in between, a space between the my toilet and vanity, so I don't know. His entire body was glowing brightly, and there was this neon green outline around him. He was almost transparent, but it was hard to tell because of the bright glow, and I needed my glasses to see more clearly. Unfortunately, I was frozen with fear. Old man top hat was staring directly at me, directly into me, compelling me. There was almost a slight smirk on his face, daring me, taunting me, just by being there with his steely gaze. I caught my breath and I thought, surely this is just a dream. I slumped back down into bed, covering myself up to my chin because blankets protect you from monsters, obviously. But I couldn't possibly go back to sleep. I began to sweat. Was he still there? I tried to wake up my husband. He was out cold. I couldn't stand it. I had to get up and look again. So I did, and he was still there. I immediately sank down into our mattress, covered myself tightly, shaking my husband over and over, whispering, "Please wake up. Please wake up. Wake up." I was so terrified I could barely speak. My husband did not wake up. I looked at the clock. There was about 3 more hours until our alarms would go off to get up for work. I lay there awake with the covers over my entire head for those 3 hours. I couldn't wait to see the light of day so I could get my courage back and to share my experience with my husband. I wasn't, or I'm sorry, it wasn't until many years after the incident that I realized that the man I saw was Thomas Edison. I was watching a documentary on Henry Ford, another American businessman with plenty of questionable motives. He was a known racist and anti Semite. The documentary started talking about the friendship the two men shared, as well as their business partnership. It was then that the screen flashed a photo of an elderly Edison, and my heart jumped. I was like, that's him. That's Old Man Top Hat. So this led to more research where I was able to find a photo of Edison wearing an early 1900s black suit and top hat. There were other synchronicities that popped up in my research, which led me to ask, why him? Why did Thomas Edison in particular decide to show himself to me, especially when I had never been able to see ghosts or spirits up to that point? I had always believed that they existed all around us, but I was too chicken to ever want to see or talk to any. I feel like he showed himself to me to taunt me. Later, I found out that Thomas Edison grew up in Port Huron, Michigan, and that he has ties to Belleville Lake. Edison had a dam built which produced the lake, and Edison owned a large stretch of property along the Huron River nearby. Now, at the time of the sighting, I lived in Belleville, adjacent to the Huron River, right next to a street called Menlo Park Drive. My gut tells me that the reason he appeared to me was to spite me. Before the sighting, I would always enter a room, and if I felt a presence, I'd shout, "You're not welcome here," because as I stated, I was scared to death of seeing something or someone in my home. Nowadays, I'm much more relaxed and open-minded. I always state that all are welcome if you come in peace. I haven't had any other sightings though since Thomas Edison. I believe that being by being so fearful and vehement in the past, I actually invited in a toxic energy. And that energy was the ghost of Thomas Edison. To this day, about 20 years after the sighting, I have not seen any other spiritual entity like this. This was the only one. But it was such a profound and unique experience for me that I wanted to share it with all of you. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. I wish you all love and light. Namaste.